Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I'm so glad that you could keep our appointment. Tonight, I'm pleased once again to have returning for his junior appearance, I believe, Brother Lamont Maurice L., who will present You Can't Serve Two Masters, the principles of your forefathers or the principles that delude to slavery. The choice is yours. Now, some of you may be familiar with his 2013 case, which made national headlines when Lamont Maurice L. was labeled a quote-unquote squatter and underwent extreme character assassination in the media and endured 5 years of false imprisonment by foreign hybrid European colonists occupying North America for making a lawful adverse claim to his inherited ancestral estate by treaty right. Now, the original case was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. Nevertheless, Lamont spent 5 years in captivity on totally separate falsified charges, none of which the media has ever mentioned, retracted, or updated to this day. The case became a landmark court case that is now studied because of its historical and legal significance. That's me. They didn't know what they were doing because Lamont Maurice L. was able to use that time in captivity to sharpen his constitutional law enforcement knowledge and skills. And he's using that, and he's been presenting on his own platform and for the third time on Office Hours with Dr. G. I'd like to present and welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. G, Brother Lamont Maurice L. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's
You're
mine.
quite welcome. Thank you for rock. Yeah.
I've been dancing all day.
I'm going to try to keep myself alert today. I'm going to tell the audience, and I'm telling you, I'm a little bit tired. I think I've been astro traveling at night. And when I wake up, I'm tired, like I've been like running a marathon. Yeah. So I feel it during the course of the day. I don't know about anybody else, but
that's been everybody else. I think that's been everybody I talked to said the same thing, including myself.
I wake up like I've been tampered with in my dreams. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why do I feel like I've just been running and doing this and dodging that, and maybe I have, maybe I have. So welcome back. I hope I was getting that right. So first it's what is it? Freshman, and then was it
sophomore?
Okay, correction. This is your junior appearance.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a junior now.
All right. Okay. Well, listen. Thank you for coming on, and I know you have some things going on, and I appreciate the fact that well, I'm glad I was here for you because you have some things tonight that you want to share with our audience based on some things. What I love about you, Brother Lamont, is when new things come. When you have to deal with new situations, and I think once you've processed those things yourself, or you feel like you're far enough along in the process, if you see a value to, the kinfolk, and of course, let's let the motorcycles go. But if you see it, when you see a value, some of the value, and you're willing to share it, and so many people are not willing to freely, may I say freely, share information that would be of value to others. And so I appreciate you for doing that. And before we get started, I want to say to those who are on here, please like and please share. And if you have not subscribe to my channel. And I'm also doing a little plug for the fact that I have a brand new channel, Brother Lamont, that I just created called on YouTube called Dr. G is Official. And I'm going to put the link up, but I'm going to need folks to go look for Dr. G is Official on YouTube and go and subscribe, because they won't let me go live. It's a totally new channel. I can't go live until I get 1,000 subscribers. And I'm like, you won't let somebody go live until they do 1,000.
Oh, that's the new policy?
Yeah, for a new channel. So I know that 1,000 folks are going to see this, and they're going to, Dr. Dr. No periods, DRGISOFFICAL. Dr. G is Official on YouTube. Please go to my page. Matter of fact, if the first 17 people who subscribe, I think there've been 5. I'll put the notice out today. I'm giving a free gift to the first 17, and 17 is significant to me because I came in on the 17th. That's my number. 1 + 7 is 8. That's me. So if you are in the first 17 to subscribe, matter of fact, go on up there and do it right now. Come back real quick. Dr. G is Official. That's on YouTube. Look me up. You'll see my face, my picture. Please subscribe. Tell somebody, share. And if you're in the first 17, you're going to get a free gift. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't need if you could get a book, you could get some crystals, and you might even get, matter of fact, I'm getting ready to get the word. You might even get it might even be a silver coin. Who knows? So the first 17 people are getting something from me. And if I get 1,000 subscribers, then
Dr. G is Official.
On and popping with my new channel, which is going to be my Wild Child channel. That's where, in the old days they used to say let your freak flag fly. Well, that's the channel where I'm going to be no holds bar about some stuff. Yeah, Dr. G is Official, but no period.
Dr. G is Official.
That's right, no period. Just DRGISOFFICIAL.
All together. It's all together.
All together. Dr. G is Official, one word. And please go over there and subscribe, because I want to get that channel up, on and popping, because that's the channel that they're probably going to shut me down. But I'm going to say what I got to say over there. So thank you. So with that, welcome. It's done. All right.
I hope I'm one of those 17.
That's what I hope so. First 17, because I get a notification. You get a free gift. Tell us, okay, what's been going on, my brother?
Oh man. Well, the same thing that's been going on with all of us. We're challenging, we're being challenged, we're being tested. So actuality, according to chapter 1 of the Circle 7, salvation is going on. Everybody's being tested, and it says man will be fully saved, redeemed, and perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. So everybody's being tested. They're being purified. So I'm being purified, but I definitely would love to turn this test into a testimony, which I think is the purpose of the test, so that you can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, I want to acknowledge the Moors that are out in the Moroccan Empire, such as at the Trinidad and Tobago territory, Brother Kamau and Sister Amina, his consort Bay. They're the consuls at that territory, and I've been working with them real closely. And they've been sharing definite knowledge, information, but most importantly, support and love, which I greatly appreciate. But those are the consuls. They're at Trinidad and Tobago Republic territory, assisting Moors in getting nationalized. Yeah, so greatly appreciate that. But for myself, when I say they, I'm speaking about Montgomery County, the entity members of the Montgomery County District Court, the Montgomery County Police Department, and the Montgomery County State's Attorney's Office. The people that sought to slander me in the Montgomery County Mansion case, I was finishing the default judgment. I basically revised it so that I can update it and process it through our Morocco consular court.
Before you go any further with what happened, could you, for the benefit of those who may not know what a default judgment is, could you explain what that is?
All right. So default judgment is pretty much a judgment that is entered on the default of either the claimant's claim, whatever assertions of fact, or whatever invoice, if someone makes claim that you owe money or they're charging you for an injury, and the person that's being charged challenges the jurisdiction of the person that's asserting, and they don't prove jurisdiction, then they're in what is called default. So definitely wise to go to the Black's Law Dictionary 5th or 4th edition and look up the term default, and don't take my word for it. But by its derivation, it means a failure to act or a failure to perform. So a judgment by default would be like if there is an issue that they're calling a case brought forth in a venue that they're calling a court, and they're alleging or asserting jurisdiction over you, meaning range of authority over your person and the issue, whatever the subject is, then you would by all means challenge the jurisdiction of that alleged court and demand you would command by what authority that they're operating on, meaning who was the author that delegated you permission to or license to exercise authority over my life, liberty, or property. And that process is called due process of law. So you have a right to be heard. So you have a right to challenge. And when that venue and the people who are part of that venue don't answer or prove their assertions, their authority, then that is called default. So whoever was acting as if they had the power, which is called the judicial power, which is the power to interpret and apply the law, if they're acting as that, but their position was challenged and it's not proved, then who has the power to end the case? You do, because the power was reserved to the people. That power belongs to people. All powers of government belong to the people. So you have a right and the reserved power to issue a judgment against them by their default. And the judgment is whatever order that you set in your document. So that's like a whole, that's like a whole study in itself. Learning government is basically learning the reserved powers of the people, the executive, legislative, and judicial powers of the people. And that's what we lost, because we started to cling to the principles that delude to slavery. And we're still doing it as a whole. Not all of us, but most of us, as a people. So, but that's what default judgment is. Definitely look up the term default and look up the term default judgment so that you can know exactly what it is according to the Black's Law Dictionary 4th or 5th edition.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
So, default judgment is what was drafted and issued by Morocco Consular Court, a consul of Morocco Consular Court. So if you don't mind, can I do screen share?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I can, it's right here. Hold on. Okay, hold on. It's share. Do you have to do it? Or
it's up so you can share.
Okay, here we go. So can you see my screen, or I don't?
You have it up what you want? Yeah, I can add it to the stream as soon as you got your page up. Okay, now we did.
All right, you can see it now. Okay, good.
Yeah, let me take this down.
All right. So where I'm going to is the website is called enforcetheconstitution.org, and I'm clicking on consular court cases. So they had trumped up a fraudulent lien case, the case that was current back in January 2021. This case was issued, of course, it was a collusive action taken under color of law. So everyone, if you're taking notes, please write down the term collusive action. And you want to look that term up in the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th and 5th edition as well. It was a collusive action taken by the state's attorney, of course, in the name of the state of Maryland versus the straw. And what they were alleging was that the straw, or I, in the name of the straw, as surety for the straw, however they want to put it, did a fraudulent lien. And they was referring to this financing statement, which this is a certified copy, it's on the website. They were referring to this financing statement here. And attached to it was the default judgment that was issued by Morocco Consular Court in favor of me for a monetary damage and punitive damage of $194,420,000, which was calculated according to the case Trezevant versus City of Tampa. Now, for the Montgomery County case, I wasn't in there. I wasn't actually in. I wasn't kidnapped for the Montgomery County case. I was kidnapped for a few months, but then they released me to the Charles County jurisdiction, and that's the jurisdiction that railroaded me and kidnapped me and held me hostage and against my will and all that, deprived me of my liberty in unlawful imprisonment. So the Montgomery County case, I was being unlawfully detained, and it was for like probably, I want to say around maybe 6-7 months, something like that. I did the calculations. It's on the default judgment. But I calculated the days. So according to Trezevant versus City of Tampa, that's a case law. False arrest and unlawful imprisonment compensates $75,000 an hour and $1.6 million a day. I think I hear feedback. That's kind of throwing me off. Do you hear that echo?
No.
Okay, I hear it. Anyway, so I calculated the days, and that's how the days that I was being imprisoned, and that's how I came up with the figure. So they were calling this lien the judgment lien. They said that I filed it under the Uniform Commercial Code, or the UCC, and I didn't. I actually checked off non-UCC filing, and that's in 6B right here in this with this red circle around it, because according to the principle and creed of our foremothers and forefathers, if that we don't operate off of the principle truth, because that's the principles. That's our 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So the Uniform Commercial Code, which was created under the 14th Amendment, according to the principles of the 14th Amendment, which allows so-called or alleged secured party creditors to do what they call a security agreement with a straw man. Now, the straw man or the artificial person is not real. It's a creature of an imagination. So that has no substance. It has no sense. It makes no sense, because the senses is 5: hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, and seeing. The straw man does not relate to any of the senses. That's why it makes no sense. And it's not according to common sense. Thus, it violates common law, because common law derived from common sense. But when you go with the narrative of the straw man being real, then you give into what they call the delusion, which is mentioned in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. But Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, he put that in the Restoration of Consular Court, that treatise that he put out on the thumb drive for everyone to study that are looking to start consular court and exercise consular jurisdiction. So when you give into that argument, then you're clinging to the principles that delude to slavery, because those are not the principles of your foremothers and forefathers. So I did not cling to that principle. However, when you do a non-UCC filing, what you want to do is you want to go to the instructions. Let me show you the instructions. I got this on the website as well, because it's important that we learn how to read and know exactly what it is that we're doing when we do things. So 6B in the instruction says, if this is an agricultural lien as defined in applicable states enactment of the Uniform Commercial Code, or if this is not a UCC security interest filing, and for example, it says a tax lien, judgment lien, etc., check the appropriate box in item 6B and attach any other items required under other law. So that means if you're doing a non-UCC, then that means there has to be another set of principles that you're attaching your action to or your lien against. And if it's a judgment lien, default judgments can be judgment liens, because a judgment is a lien against property by its nature, really. You know, because a lien is pretty much when someone owes you a debt or an obligation, and they have failed to basically faithfully perform the debt or to pay the debt or to perform the obligation, then you have a claim against their property by common law. You know, we all know that. That's common sense. So, and it has to be of equal value. So that's pretty much what a lien is. And a judgment is, you know, when a judgment is a sentence against you, or in a strong opinion is sentenced against you according to facts, right? So a judgment lien would be basically a claim of a monetary value against a person, and you're putting up his property as security for the or as collateral to secure the performance or the payment, right? That's all it is. And that's common law, which derives from common sense. Making it complicated is us deluding to the principles of slavery, right? What they did was they misconstrued. I don't know if they did it on purpose, just to, you know, try to like, you know, stop the process or halt the process. But, or if they mistakenly just did not read, you know, the check box that says that it's a non-UCC filing. But nevertheless, this is what they came up with right here. This is the state's attorney's enter of a no prosequi on March 24th, 2021. But attached to it is also their administrative warrant, this right here, which was false. You all can see the evidence. If you go on the website, you can check it out. But these were the alleged charges: the fraudulent liens, public record, false entry, so on and so forth. And right here is the application for statement of charges. So it was brought by B.J. Smith, who was one of the colleagues of the people that I had a lien against, who was doing business as a policy enforcer or highwayman of the Montgomery County Police Department. And as you can see, you know, they put it in a straw man name, black male, all of that. And he signed under penalty of perjury. So, you know, he committed perjury and fraud. But let's see what he said right here, second page. So right here, he laid out, basically, he probably went to the Uniform Commercial Code somewhere, you know, where they are able to trump this fraudulent lien charge up against those that utilize the Uniform Commercial Code. He laid out what the purpose of the UCC1 is. And he said a UCC1 is a Uniform Commercial Code filing that is a public notice of a secure transaction. The notice, UCC1, is a financing statement which indicates a commercial agreement between debtor and a secured party. It is filed by creditors to publicly declare their rights to potentially obtain the personal properties of debtors who default on business loans that they extend. So the Uniform Commercial Code was set up for business loans, but the business, which is the commerce, is de facto because they're bankrupt. How are they doing trade and they're bankrupt? That's why it's unconstitutional. And it comes under the 14th Amendment, which is also unconstitutional. So it's color of law, right? Because they can't be in business if they're not having any lawful title of claim to trade anything. They have no claim. They have their interest is not even protected. So interest in the land, that is. So anyway, they issued the warrant. What was it? Right here. The warrant was issued January 25th, 2021, but then they turned around and dismissed it. Well, they were set to dismiss it April 16th, 2021. And I made sure that I got the last word on the record. So what I did was once I found out about the case, I was actually, I was like, oh, shoot. So they about to try to come kidnap me again. So I knew I did everything right, but it's most importantly, was I ready to defend the right that I exercise? Because that's what's most important. It's not about if you do the process right. It's about if you can defend what you did. That's what makes you competent. And I was ready to defend. And I called their venue, and their clerk said they were already set to dismiss it the following Friday. So they also revealed to me, wait a minute, because I don't want to get ahead of myself. They also revealed to me that they planned on terminating the record so that the only evidence of the case that you'll see is on Maryland Judiciary Case Search. That's the online case search for Maryland. And I was like, oh, no. I want to get a copy of everything that was recorded. Can I do that? And they said, sure. So I made sure that I did due process of law with Morocco Consular Court here at the Maryland State Republic, which is pretty much the officers and personnel of our consulate. Shout out to everybody. Y'all know who y'all are. I just don't want to, go through the names. I might mess up, but shout out to y'all. Much love. But anyway, we went through our court proceeding process, which will be made available online soon. We're just putting together every technical issue or whatever and getting order. And we, brother, I think it was either Brother Adil or Brother Charles Arnell Smith Bay. One of them issued the default judgment, which is a judgment lien for this case right here, for, this case and attaching basically all of the parties that claim interest in this case. So BJ, what was his name? BJ Smith, the one that did that, that applied and for the warrant to be issued. It was against him, his colleagues, the new state's attorney, everyone else. And they received it. There was no response. Of course, they never respond, but that's actually a response. But nevertheless, the case was dismissed, but I got the evidence pulled from the case so that I can make sure that I can show basically before the world my side and what they did. And that's what we all have to get in the practice of doing. We have to know how they say anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's a double-edged sword. Anything they say can and will be used against them as well, if you know what they're saying and if you know what you're saying. So it all goes back to words, and that's principle. Still talking about the principle of truth, because truth is what the etymon of the word etymon means. Etymon, the origin of the word etymon means truth. So that's a principle, right? So you have to know the true meaning of the word so that you can speak the right word, and then you can know who is speaking deceptively because you know by the words, right? So they dismissed the case, and I made sure I got the default judgment recorded in this case before they dismissed it and destroyed it, they said in their own words. And still, this lien still stands, this judgment lien, and also to show that they certified this judgment. Hold on.
Make sure on the record that as we went there, they were in the process of destroying it. That's what the clip was saying.
Yeah, they was in the process of destroying. Now I'm talking about the Montgomery County. So as you can see right here, this is the certification letter from Montgomery County Circuit Court, the clerk. She certified all of the documents that was forwarded to her mailbox and entered into the record of Montgomery County Circuit Court. So they certified it. Not only that, but this is the front page of the default judgment. And as you can see, this is the Morocco Consular Court. So that's a jurisdiction. It was issued in this jurisdiction, Morocco Consular Court, and it was entered into a foreign jurisdiction through port. The port that it went through was the mailbox. We have to look up these terms so that we can know exactly what they mean and how they relate to commerce, which includes trade. Commerce is trade. So they traded a misrepresented instrument, foreign bill of exchange, called case number 123-483C and 122-514C. And in exchange, I gave them default judgment, through the court, that is, through our Morocco Consular Court. So
what does that mean for you? I mean, in terms of you were able to, in other words, the default judgment that you filed was accepted as filed. Am I correct?
Yes, and made a part of their official record.
Now, what would be the next move? I mean, are you looking? I'm looking for them to. Can they? What is the word when somebody?
Well, I know where you're getting to. So, the purpose of a record. Let me show you something. Hold on. I'm pulling up the United States Republic Constitution. All right. The purpose of a record is to show a chain of events, right? Mm-hmm. Like this Constitution is a chain of events in history that was recorded. So it was one group of people speaking to another group of people. That's what is displayed in the preamble. Now, when you go down to Article 4, Section 1, that is the full faith and credit clause. Article 4, Section 1 is talking about a record, talking about a specific type of record. So it says, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. So if full faith and credit is given to the record, then that means something has to be made a part of the record in order for the public to give it full faith and credit. Now, we know that their venues are not courts, so they would not be judicial proceedings. However, it's still a record. One record that we can still utilize is, and that's why a lot of people utilize it, is the record that is held by the Secretary of State of the several states of the Union. They hold a record. Now, the record that is easily accessible is the record that people fill out the Uniform Commercial Code financing statement for, so they can get it on whatever they're stating on the public record, because that is a record, a public record. That's also why when you do that, whatever you do it with, if it's with a UCC filing, like a UCC1 lien or a non-UCC1 lien, that is, or a non-UCC filing, period, not non-UCC1 lien. I don't want people to go around and start saying that. But that is considered to have perfected your security interests. The reason why it has been perfected is because it is on the public record. So it's perfect now. Now, full faith and credit has to be given to it. Otherwise, somebody has to come and rebut that record, that public record. And they can't, if you're telling the truth, they can't rebut the public record because you're telling the truth.
Okay.
The truth is you honoring the principles and creed of your foremothers and forefathers. And I'll get into detail about that once I make this point. So right here, going back to the default judgment, this shows, this file stamp, also the certification letter shows that it was made a part of the record of the Circuit Court for Montgomery County Incorporated. What I did was I took a certified copy of that record, of their record, and I recorded it in the under the Secretary of State as a non-UCC filing. But it shows my security interest in this lien, which is a security. So, and I simply basically perfected my security interest. And, you know, they have a right to rebut, but they didn't rebut it. They sent me this. And I appreciate you giving me this time so that I can share this with the people, because that's what it's really all about.
Now, is this something, I know when we spoke last week, what you were saying, or maybe the way I took it, was that a lot of times people are filing these liens and they're getting themselves in deeper trouble with these, you know, policy enforcers or these de facto government entities, so-called government entities, because of the fact that a UCC is between, you said it has to do with business
loans.
Business loans. And so if people are just filing, say, liens, I mean, I know a lot of people, I don't know if this, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never filed a lien against anyone, but I hear about a lot of people who say, oh, well, we're filing, we put this lien, that lien, and the other liens. Are those different from these UCC liens, or are they the same thing? And are they, it's the method or the manner in which you're doing that, is that a problem that people are encountering?
Yes, because if it's Moorish Americans, it's because they did not read the prophet's words. That's why he said, if I'm not the head of the movement, then your movement isn't right. He has to be the head of the movement, meaning his pattern, the pattern that he left. He left breadcrumbs. Then he said that the half hasn't been told. So you haven't, if you haven't read the divine warning by the prophet for the nations, he warned you. He said the 14th and 15th Amendment is not needed for the salvation of my people and citizens. So he was referring to my people, meaning Moorish Americans, and he was also referring to citizens as citizens of the several states of the Union, citizens of the United States of America. They don't need, both sides don't need the 14th and 15th Amendment for salvation. What we need is to get back to the principles of our foremothers and forefathers, which is embodied in the Constitution for the United States of North America and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That's why he said the great missionary work is the enforcement of the Constitution. That's the one supreme issue, because when you're enforcing the Constitution, you're enforcing principles. Law is principles. So when you're saying you're enforcing law, you're enforcing principles. Now, there's only one truth, right? There's only one truth, right? There's no different versions of the truth. Taj Tariq Bey always says that. There's no several versions. There's only one. Now, it can be different perceptions to the truth, but it's still only one. Now, if you're enforcing law and that law is not rooted in the supreme law of the land, who was the ones that drafted the supreme law? They were the Moors. Those were the supreme noble beings of the land, drafting the supreme law of the land for as a pattern, as a order for all to go by while doing commerce, doing trade on this land. And you're clinging to things that are unconstitutional. That means you're clinging to things that delude to slavery. You're clinging to things that are the opposite of what jurisprudence laid out. And jurisprudence is the science that treats of positive law. So UCC, that was for bankruptcy, first of all. That was for every business that's bankrupt doing business on this land because they have no gold and silver to trade with, and they have no title. So when enforcing the supreme law of the land, you got to know that you're enforcing principles. You're holding someone, when you're enforcing the supreme law of the land, you're holding someone to a body of principles, especially if they're calling themselves government. That's your duty, because if he is a part of the government, then he's representing a people, right? Like if I was to put someone, in my stead as a trustee, I trust him to exercise these duties, right? But if this person is exercising a duty and he's claiming authority over you, then it is your not only right, but it is your duty to challenge him, because he can be impersonating an officer. He can cause harm to the community. So it's your duty. It's not just your right, but it's your duty. And what you're doing is you're challenging him by holding him to a set of principles. The supreme law of the land is the supreme principles of the land. And that's what we have to understand. They adopted the supreme law of the land. That means that it was not theirs. That means that it was our forefathers bringing in a foreign body inside of a set of principles to abide by, because that's how they got their government set up. That's why the Constitution is the layout of the government. Anything to the contrary, it is not the government. Now, when we start speaking, we have to understand that the reason why they say anything you say can and will be used against you is because what you say is power. It's words. Words is power. When you apply those words, you're speaking energy. You're putting forth seeds into the universe. So whatever you speak will come back to you. So if they said that anything you say can and will be used against you, that's because they know exactly what you're going to say. And that was done systematically. They call it, what was the speech? What was it called? We looked up? Double speak. They call it double speak, but it's really called connotative linguistics. So they double speak. Even in this case right here, they're double speaking. They're double speaking because look at this. This is what was sent to me in the envelope. Look, this is the envelope. I don't want you all. So it says State of Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation, Business Services and Finance Division, right? So it appears to have come from the Department of Assessment and Taxation. They got it in the straw name. Now, right here in the financing statement, I didn't do it in no straw name. I did it in a free and national name. This is their connotative linguistics for the sole purpose of deception, to deceive. So right here, the secure party's name, Lamont Maurice Butler L. Let's go back down to the letter. The letter say Lamont Maurice Butler, right? Please disregard the P.O. box. It says the secure party, Lamont Maurice Butler, de-identified parties, right? And this is supposed to be from the debtors, Deborah Doyer and others. It says commercial law. This is why you don't use the Uniform Commercial Code, because this gives them a way to trump up colorable charges against your estate. Commercial law, Article subsection 9-105.1C, Annotated Code of Maryland. That's the Uniform Commercial Code for Maryland. Provides as follows: a person may not cause to be filed or recorded under this title a financing statement that the person knows is 1, false, 2, not authorized to be filed or recorded under this title, or 3, not related to a valid, existing, or potential commercial or financial transactions. Now, the police dude said what? That the UCC is used for business loans. So if there's no business loan going on through a bankruptcy, then you ain't got no reason to be filing no Uniform Commercial Code lien, because that's called a false, fraudulent lien. And it is, even under color of law, because the Uniform Commercial Code is color of law. It's the appearance of law, but it's not law. It's a code. That's a set of principles that delude to slavery. They're using the Uniform Commercial Code to trade against our estate because it deludes to slavery. And slavery, connotatively, slavery is one who is subject to the will of another. So what are we ultimately saying? If we don't honor the principles of our foremothers and forefathers, then we're going to cling to principles that delude to slavery. There is no middle ground. So if someone tells you, yeah, look, you should do the UCC because, or you should do the IRS form and fill out the IRS forms because that way you get to fly under the radar, or that way you get to get this, you know, put this big $1 trillion lien against your straw man, and then you the secure party. So now you got to be paid the debt first. So now you good, and can't nobody charge it, but they still charge it. Can't nobody borrow against it, but they're still trading on it on the stock market. You see what I'm saying? Because you had nothing to, that's not the principles of your foremothers and forefathers. So you strayed. And when you stray, Drew Ali said this happens. I'll pull this up. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. This is in Moorish literature pamphlet. For everybody who knows the Moorish literature pamphlet, you already know this is in there. So I'm reading from it. And I ain't gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna read the parts that stand out. It says, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family, bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin, sin means debt, for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. So if you cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery, then you're classed as an undesirable. Not, oh, because of your race, not because of their prejudice, not because they hate you. No. You just cling to something that your foremothers and forefathers did not have you follow. You know, you're supposed to follow the path of your father, and the origin of the word father comes from the word pater, which means pattern. So who made you? Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the father of the universe, the pattern of the universe. Our foremothers and forefathers created an order for us to follow. And the order is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It's called principles. Now, when we go to the term principle in the Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition, page 1074, principle, a fundamental truth or doctrine as of law, a comprehensive rule or doctrine which furnishes a basis or origin for others, a settled rule of action, procedure, or legal determination. So it's a rule of action. So whenever you're taking action, right, you're supposed to be taking it according to a rule, according to a set of principles, a doctrine, a law. So if you're clinging to the principles that delude to slavery, then you're not entitled to a birthright. That's how we lost it. It says it in the circle, in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter 47, verse 16. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. And the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe of whom they knew nothing. They didn't know nothing of them because they didn't know how to read. Period. And what we're doing, it's not a condemnation at all, because everything that we're doing, even the adversaries, even the foes, even the what do you call them? The conversos, the dirty Moors, and the active Moors, the Moors that are active and seeking to demonstrate exercise of their birthright so that they can become a competent heir. All of it's necessary, because all of it is dealing with one is dealing with the prophecies, which was told by Prophet Noble Ali and all the other prophets before him and after him. And it's also necessary to remove this great sin. You know, it's going to be some hard things that we're going to have to go through, but it has to happen because that's called the purge. It's all written in the Circle 7 and in the book called the Holy Bible and the Quran. It's just that we have to know how to read it. Read it with a dictionary. Stop leaning on your own understanding, and most definitely stop leaning on the understanding of someone else, because you do not know. You simply believe. Don't believe anything. No. We're in the age of knowledge, the age of Aquarius. That means to know. That's the energy. So if you're still leaning on the age of Pisces, the belief energy, then guess what? You're still clinging to the principles that delude to slavery. You're not clinging to the fundamental truth or doctrine as of a law. That's a principle. That's one of our principles, the highest principle. Love, then truth. Truth is love. Love is truth. So before you act, you have to speak the word, because the order goes word, then actions and deeds. So the rule of action is the rule of law that you speak out of your mouth. A truth or proposition so clear, this is principle, so clear that it cannot be proved or contradicted unless by a proposition which is still clearer. That's why when you speak, you're speaking in writing, you're communicating, right? You're communicating an energy on paper, you're sending it to them, they're recording it on a record, and that record stands. So whatever you say, it's either going to be used for you or it's going to be used against you. And it's not necessarily, oh, they're going to respond, you know, saying some stupid stuff that I can just respond to. Nah, they're going to come. They're going to do an action, because they're going by a set of rule of actions. Their rule of action is color of law, the appearance of law. It's still an order, because without truth, you can't deceive people. So they have to have some form of the truth. And this is what's separating everybody right now. You know, principles. You know, we're still clinging to principles of currency being money. We're still clinging to principles of Federal Reserve notes being something that you use to purchase something with. Because think about it. Let me stop sharing real quick, because I want to say this. How do I get back? There we go. When we're still clinging to all of these things that delude to slavery, then we are showing the world, because this is the great reset that we're going through. We're showing the world exactly, you know, our principle, our patterns, and we have to stop doing that. That's also the reason why all of us can't come together. We can't come together, and that's, you know, it's not because, you know, we're trying to start clubs or anything. I don't promote, you know, clubisms, you know, anything like that. But I do know what I went through. I heard what Brother Taj Tariq Bey went through. I know what you went through from your own words, Dr. G. And I know what my mother's going through. I know what everybody's going through. You know, I went to the Desmo Crypts, which they call prison, which is really called hell. And I met the people there. And I see what they were going through. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time to play with this. So no, we don't need to come together. The only people that need to come together are the people that are standing on the principles. All are called, but few are chosen. And you say all are called, so all come on and let's get together. No, because we're gonna all fight. Think about it.
Actually says that many are called,
Oh, many are called.
a few are chosen.
All wasn't even called.
No, just many.
Just many were called, and then out of the many, few were chosen.
That's right.
Right, and they were chosen. So it's not chosen, to be a part of a club. No, it's chosen to be a part of a set of principles because you're demonstrating those principles. And I think that's also, I truly believe, because I don't know, I truly believe that's why my life was spared. Because the police, they even told me, they went through my stuff and they were like, well, yeah, we didn't see none of the things that we saw with the other people that you were with. We thought you were with. They were conning people, doing little discharge mortgage debt claims. But we went through your laptop and thumb drive and we didn't see any of that. We saw Constitution, treaty, and stuff like that. Yeah. And then the one, Kenneth Penrod from Montgomery County Police Department, he said himself, we know you all are not criminals. We've done background checks on all of you all. That's because of principle. You see what I'm saying? You can't deny principle. That's why it doesn't matter what it appears whenever, as far as like whenever they shoot situations at you, it doesn't matter what it seems like. Stand on the principle because the truth sets you free. It literally does. Even if you're going to the place called prison, that's for study. That's where you learn law at. That's actually where you learn common law. I'm not promoting anybody to go to hell, but the ones that go to hell or went to hell, you have that experience. You experience common law in full effect. You experience bartering, trade, right? You also experience, for everyone knows about PayPal, or the green dot, when you just write down the numbers, you experience negotiable instruments. Because when you write down, when you have your people go to 7-Eleven to purchase a $50 green dot card, and then they read you the numbers to the green dot card so that you can write down the numbers, and the numbers are supposed to be you're supposed to like be able to put those set of numbers in the green dot, in the on the account or whatever. That's an account number, and it's supposed to be shown that there's $50 in reserve for that account. So when you're in there and you got the piece of paper with the numbers, you're negotiating food or you're negotiating, whatever hygiene you need. That's called a negotiable instrument. You see what I'm saying? So principles was demonstrated in there. It's just that it was, hard lesson, going in there. Don't nobody want to be in there at all. I don't wish that on my enemy.
That's like the Annie song, "It's a Hard Knock Life," in there. And I know from just being a volunteer pastoral counselor for 5 years, going into the men's prison. I've been in there, and I've been on the pod, not just in the in the chapel doing.
Yeah, I've seen them come in. They on the pod with them, among them.
I come in on the pod, and you hear, you see, you don't see everything, but you know that this is not, you can't fathom that anyone would make a career of it. Because I don't know if I told you, but I told somebody else that this particular prison where I volunteered was called Gander Hill, because where they built it on that land, there used to be geese everywhere, and the geese gander, and so they called it the Gander Hill Prison before they changed the name to the name of the warden that used to be there. But we used to call it the Gander Hilton, because they were checking in and checking out and checking in. It's seemed like the weather got cold, they do something, get themselves in, because when the thing 3 hots in a cot. But but what kind of life, and what kind, and a lot of them were institutionalized. So but you were in there, as you said, for study, because you may not have been able to focus that much attention. If you would not have focused that much attention.
No, I wouldn't. and it was almost divine. It was like, because in 2013, I was in and out of jail, and I felt it's like it was a feeling that came over me, like, okay, why does it seem like every time I'm in jail, I have time to study, but when I'm out, I'm pulled all these different directions and I don't have time to study. You know what I'm saying? Then I was like, then there was another time where I had a actual dream of being in hell, but I was in heaven. But everybody was around me, they was in hell, and there was nothing I can do. I was just watching them suffer, and there's nothing I can do about it. And then I woke up and I thought about prison. And this was before the Montgomery County Mansion case even came about. But that is actually what the chapter, I forgot what chapter it is in the Holy Quran and the Moorish Sign Symbol of America. It was the chapter that was dealing with anthropomorphic, dealing with Jesus, the one they call Jesus, going through the brotherhood test. And he asked to be admitted into the decimal crypts. So I was actually reading that chapter, studying that chapter a lot while I was in there, before I went to prison, while I was in jail. And, when I had that whole experience, it felt divine because I wasn't I was protected. I felt like I was protected. I ain't getting one fight. I got close because you are tested. Mm-hmm. However, that's the battle that can't be told in words. It's supposed to be tested. That's how you know your strengths. And it was the fact that I knew truth and which was principle. And I learned that that principle, which is law. When I say principle, I'm talking about the law. As I'm studying it, I'm getting better at communicating with people according to due process of law, giving them notice of whatever it is that I have in my mind and giving them the opportunity to be heard. No matter what level they're speaking on, you still exercise the principles of due process of law. You see what I'm saying? And you keep your peace. And when I came out of, hell, I noticed that out here it's prison with no walls. The warden is the governor because they told everybody lock in last summer, and everybody locked in. He said, if you're locked in, then you're going to jail. You're going to be picked up and gone to jail. So that sounds like you having to lock in according to the warden, for whatever emergency he says. And if you get caught, you go into the hole. Then you have the policy enforcers that have everybody act in accordance with the principle of color of law or the policy, right? That's the same as the prison guards. Same thing. And when I started to talk to the policy enforcers before I went in there, after I went in there, I started to talk to the prison guards, and then I got out, started talking to policy enforcers again. Aren't really necessarily, out to get you. Some of them are just there for paychecks. You know what I'm saying? So they're literally putting on a mask, a uniform, and they're pretending to be somebody that they're not. So they're pretending to act out these principles against you, and they don't really mean it. They're just doing it because they're getting a paycheck. But when they take the uniform off, they're back to their principles. You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important to understand principle, because what we are dealing with is we're dealing with a priesthood of people and their outsider gang members. And I ain't confusing that with connotatively what they call gang, because they're the real gangs that are pretending to be something that they're not. It's a big Hollywood show. Like literally.
We're in the middle of one right now. We've been in one for how many months? 16 months. With like, where did all the stars go? Like, hey, smile, you're on candy camera. We're seeing everything. We are it, and we're seeing it, and so it is very interesting that even in times like this, still even though we know that a lot of things have been, how can I say this? We know that behind the scenes, a lot of things are happening. That a lot of things, that we're seeing are like you said, a show, but yet there's still a show of authority and force being presented. It's like the last ditch effort to instill fear in the hearts of the people when at a time when the people are awakening in mass. And we're hearing things, and I know I have to be careful what I say, because we want to keep things going, but we're hearing numbers of people who are submitting to what they're putting out there as a solution, so that you can once again be back with your loved ones and so forth. And we know that it's a part of the game. We know that it's a part of the lore, but then you see people that falling for it, saying, well, if so and so says it, or I want to travel. Or listen, I tell you, I travel every night. When I close my eyes, I'm tired of traveling. As a matter of fact, you can travel. You can get in your bed, close your eyes, and if you center yourself, you can go wherever you want. Whatever you don't have to stop at any. What is it? Where do you go when you go through customs or whatever you got? You have to do anything.
That was also a gift that I learned while I was in there. I learned to build back up my imagination, and then I even broke down the word imagination, and I saw that it was a compound word.
It's right in front of me. I'm looking at it. I got a poster in front of me Tell me what you get from it. I'll tell you what I get. You go first.
The first is I, the second is magi, and the third is nation.
Right.
Now we know what the I is. Magi is the priesthood. Magi is plural for magus, the wise ones, right? And then nation. So I was like, okay, wow, I magi nation. You know what I'm saying? And then when you go there, you're free. I found out that in my studies, I found out the imagination relates to the soul. And chapter 1, it says, after you overcome the flesh, the garb of flesh, then it will fall. And it says, then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must full complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These he must overcome, overcome them every one. So I was like, while I was in there, the only fight, and it was like, a struggle. The only struggle being in there is really the mental. It's the mentality. It's the thought of being there. You know what I'm saying? And as I was rereading chapter 1, that part, I was like, oh, okay, so these are where the foes are. This is where you meet the unnumbered foes. It says you'll be untrammeled. That means unrestrained. So it's in your imagination. And what they're doing is they're getting your imagination to cling to principles that delude to slavery. So it's like, okay, you come to work, then you get a paycheck. We pay you. But then you turn around and then you pay us a percentage of what we paid you back. And then you have to pay this bill, this debt, and all of that, right? When in actuality, it doesn't exist. Because if you go back to the principles of Article 1, Section 10, Clause 2, it says no state shall make anything but gold or silver coin or tender in payment of debts. So what did you pay for? And if for everybody that's, looking for the Bitcoin salvation, think about it. What are you going to purchase with Bitcoin? What are you going to purchase with credit? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to purchase a house with it? Because if you read the deed, it says that the property is conveyed in fee simple. That means you ain't getting no title to it. If you want to purchase a car, you read the title to the car, the alleged title, what does it say? Certificate of title. But because we done strayed away from the principles of our foremothers and forefathers, we done forgot the word of and how it's a preposition, connecting one thing to something else. Certificate of title. That means it ain't the title. So we're being deceived, and it's them using getting us to deceive ourselves in our imagination, because we inherently know by common sense that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And common sense is divine. You know, we were born with common sense. We weren't, you know, we didn't gain common sense. No, we were born with it. So I wanted to put this out there for, you know, I want to call it, can I call it the needle or not?
Yeah, or the stick.
The stick, right?
The stick. The
or,
stick.
or the poke. Okay.
Poke
Well,
the
this
stick.
for the stick. Okay, this for the stick. Let me go back to screen share. All that. See, this is us going back to principle, right? So this is the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. This does not give us rights. This reminds us of the principles. This reminds us of what is already universal, what's already been there, and they're securing it, right? They're guaranteeing it to be secured. So when we go to Article 7, and we know who I hope we all know who the indigenous peoples are of the world. It says, Article 7, indigenous individuals have the right to life, physical and mental integrity, liberty, and security of person. 2, indigenous peoples have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct peoples, and shall not be, and I want to highlight this, let me highlight this, subject to any act of genocide or any other act of violence. So if we know something beyond reasonable doubt is causing genocide to a certain class or a certain group of people, we have a right to not be subject to it. That right is secured under Article 7 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. This is a treaty. Look up the definition of treaty. You will definition of treaty is of or involving 2 or more nations or nationalities. So the United Nations, that's yes, it's an organization. However, it's an organization with members from several nations, etc., that are representing that body of people, right? So that's a treaty. And this treaty, because a party of this treaty was the United States, this treaty comes under Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution for the United States of North America as the supreme law of the land. So this is Article 7. Here is Article 8. Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of their culture. Culture deals with principles. So there's Article 8. And then we have the other article, last article I want to talk about, was 24. Yep. Thanks, bro. Article 24. In case you think you're sick or you need something outside of your body, Article 24 secures our right to that principle of our forefathers and foremothers. It says indigenous peoples have the right to their traditional medicines and to maintain their health practices, including the conservation of their vital medicinal plants, animals, and minerals. Indigenous individuals also have the right to access, without any discrimination, to all social and health services. So you have a right to get it, but you also have a right to go back to the traditions and principles of your foremothers and forefathers, the medicines that they used, the herbs that they used, and not the stick. So these are rights. Now, shall there be a dispute, right? Shall there be a dispute? Well, this treaty also covers all disputes because, any dispute between a Moor and a foreign hybrid European colonist claiming U.S. citizenship, where is it at? Right here. It's supposed to be settled in a consular court, no other venue. So Article 37 of this United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Treaty says indigenous peoples have the right to the recognition, observance, and enforcement of treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements concluded with states or their successors, and to have states honor and respect such treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. So they're speaking past tense and present tense. So if there's a dispute with us exercising our rights that are secured in this treaty as indigenous Moorish American nationals of North America, South America, Central America, the Americanas, all the way over to the continent that they call Africa, which is a Mexim, right? This article refers back to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1836, which superseded the 1787 treaty between the United States of North America and the Moroccan Empire. So if there's a dispute, Article 20 and 21 of that treaty, of the treaty with Morocco, our Morocco, applies. And Article 20 and Article 21 deals with disputes and controversies, cases, right? Otherwise, they don't have jurisdiction and they don't have to compel you to any stick. Here's the treaty that protects your rights.
Let me
Let me
say this. It seems to me, while what you're saying is true, that Moorish Americans, we melanated people, are not seen as being the same, the indigenous people by the whoever crafted this rights of indigenous people. They see us, unfortunately, as citizens or whatever we are, and therefore, you can't go with a copy of the rights of indigenous people and say, look, it says this or this, and they would probably say, and I'm not saying I know this for a fact, that doesn't apply to you. That applies to, say, the indigenous folks, like for instance the de facto so-called Indians that they have on reservations, or maybe somebody who's maybe in Alaska. You have, like what they call the Aleutians and people, Aleutian Islands and things like that. But I don't really think that they look at us as indigenous people, because the narrative has already been solidly ingrained through generations that we came over on the sardine.
Well, here's what the deal is with that. So the word reservation. What does the word reservation mean? Let's pull that up.
So reserve,
right? First word in reservation is reserve, because they gave the so-called Indians, who are Moors, but they gave the so-called Indians reservations. So let's go to reservation.
Well, but the interesting while you're looking that up, I have people who will say things like, I want to do such and such, but I have reservations, meaning I'm hesitant. I'm not feeling that necessarily. When you use reservations like that, the person who has reservations, like, I'm not sure about that.
If you indigenous, then a colonist or a group of colonists giving you reservations, that's a classification. If you're supposed to be indigenous, how is a foreign body giving you reservation? They reserving a table for you, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's what reservation is. So reservation, Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition, page 1175. A clause in a deed or other instrument of conveyance by which the grantor creates and reserves to himself some right, some interest, or some profit in the estate granted, which had no previous existence as such, but is first called into being by the instrument reserving it, such as rent or an easement. Excuse me. So, reservation, if another foreign body reserved an area for you calling yourselves Indians then that foreign body is, according to definition, is reserving to themselves a right, interest, or profit in that estate granted. So they granted you that you're supposed to be indigenous. How they grant you an estate that they didn't own? So that tells you right there. That's why the principle of etymology is a part of our culture. And our culture was a high culture, because anybody talking to an Aboriginal indigenous Moor talking about they giving you some reservation and we know what reservation means, then we'll know better. We'll know that you're trying to deceive me. You're trying to like cheat me out of my birthright. So anybody calling themselves Indians, with all due respect, but in honor and in truth, look up the definition of reservation and then go and research, meaning get a copy of your reservation for that Indian tribe and examine it, study it, research it, decode it, decipher it. That's what study is. Read
but
it.
we know a lot of the people that signed on, and when you had the Dawes Rolls, they were not even the indigenous people. It was what, five notes, and they could get their names on the roll.
Yeah.
And so we have this amalgamation now.
But see, that was all done for deceptive purposes. That was done so that they can still pretend, and it was also dealing with a sellout, just like how our movement, which is their movement as well, was sold out. But ultimately, you got to prove what you know. You say you something, prove it. And that's the other thing that our people have lacked into, applying to themselves whenever, they're taking on a process. You need to look at this like you're looking at your child going to get brain surgery. If your child is getting brain surgery and a doctor comes up, or a man comes up and calls himself a doctor, just because he had a long white coat on with the thing around his neck that listen to your heartbeat and a clipboard, doesn't make him a doctor. You want to know the qualifications of him, right? You want to know what qualifies him. That's no different than challenging the jurisdiction of the alleged court or the alleged judicial officer calling himself a judge. That's no different. If we are being approached by somebody with a turban and fez, like how Noble Drew Ali said in the the proclamation that is supposed to be declared before every meeting, we would know that some of our own brothers and sisters are trying to put us back into slavery. So we have to be careful of that, because they learned the same principles that the foreign hybrid European colonists have displayed. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And you would have to challenge them. You have to know how to challenge a person. You can't just go off of what a person tells you that they did. You want to challenge them because it's supposed to be on the record. If he's a mastermind, in the Quran, going back to the Quran again, it says when Barada Arabo spoke something, he made some type of false claim, and Jesus said, "Hold up, Barada, how you call yourself a mastermind and you don't know that man knows nothing by being told? If man must know, he must himself be what he knows. So if somebody tells you, yeah, I know this, or yeah, I'm that, then he should have shown you proof of a record of him being that or her being that. Otherwise, what makes you a mechanic if you've never fixed a car? How you a mechanic? Because you read mechanic books and you know the mechanic language. Did you fix a car? What happens when it's time for you to fix a car? You see what I'm saying? We have to make light of things, but also take things a little more serious. We have to get used to knowing how to challenge people and knowing how to be challenged and knowing how to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. That's the law of polarity. That's the law of opposites. In order for you to be right, you got to be wrong first. You can't just be right. Tell them I'm right. Everything I do, I'm just right. Nah, you got to go the wrong way first to get to the right way.
I have a T-shirt that says, "Let me explain to you why I'm right."
Exactly. You should be able to explain it. That's what makes a competent heir. That's what makes you a competent heir. Not because you did it right. No, because you know how to defend your rightness. Because right is short for righteous. If you saying you right, you saying you righteous. That means you're pure. That means no error can be found. So let me examine it. Let me challenge it. I'm your brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to keep you sharp. You know, I'm a brother's keeper. Let me keep you sharp. Iron sharpens iron. You got a booger in your name. You good? You about to go out? Let me check your face real quick. Make sure you ain't got no hanging, you know, little dudes hanging out the nostril. Yeah, but that's just to make sure you sharp. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I challenge, because I ran into this a lot of times. If I challenge you and you get upset, then I automatically know you're a fraud. Because you're supposed to be able to prove what you know. Now, my mother ain't raised me to be no fool. That's why when I got into this, brother Taj Tariq Bey, give high honors to the brother. He said on the YouTube video, I'm not promoting anybody, something like this. I'm not promoting anybody to believe what I say. Don't believe what I said. I'm going to give you reference points to go check it out yourself so that you can try to prove me wrong. And in your trying to prove me wrong, you're gonna learn something and save yourself and prove yourself right. You're gonna find out that you had the power this whole time, and that's what I found out. And I just was demonstrating it. If I don't have this power, prove me wrong. And that's when I start exercising the powers of the people, because we have that power to do that. That's why I talked about it in the last class. It's the reserved powers of the people. When you look at the preamble, we the people of the United States. So you got to know the history of that, so you can know what people that is talking. So those people have the executive power. That's the power to execute the law, the legislative power to make law, and judicial power, the power to apply, interpret, and apply the law. So when you're doing writs, you're exercising all three of those powers. When you're doing judgments by default, you're exercising those powers. That's you drafting the law. The law is debt, right? A bill on Capitol Hill, that's debt. You're drafting the law, you interpreting and applying the law on paper, and then when you send it to them, see, people forget this part. They think that the paperwork is the executor. Nope. You got to execute that document. That's right. So people say, yeah, I did a UCC1 lien, or I did an administrative remedy process, and I was successful. Okay, now you got to enforce it. How you going to enforce it? How you going to execute it? You got a lien on somebody's property, you should be able to at least borrow against it, if not go and levy the property. How you going to do that? Because that's a power. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not promoting anybody to put the carriage before the horse. I'm not promoting that at all. I'm not promoting anybody to do liens that they don't understand. I'm not promoting anybody to do judgment liens that they don't understand. You know, Taj reminded us of what Noble Drew Ali said. He said, study all things and keep only that which is good. So study the UCC1 lien process and keep that which is good if there's any good in it, if you see any good in it. If not, throw it away. You studied it, now throw it away. You know, so the principles that we have to get back to is the Constitution and the treaty. Those are a body of principles, and they all deal with how to trade on this land. When, like I said, when I went to the prisoner of war camp, I learned that exercising the principles of law according to the Constitution and treaty is what kept me in civilized and harmonious situations. You see what I'm saying? Studying law, you're studying yourself. You know, when you study due process of law, you're studying the process of law that you're supposed to be given to your brother and your sister. You're not supposed to presume anything because that is not due process. To presume, what's it called? Presumption of law. That's what they do. Presume you to be guilty until proven innocent. That's why they have you plead guilty or not guilty. What about innocent? They don't include innocent in there because that's presumption of law. You see what I'm saying? And that alludes to the principles of slavery. So we have to make a choice, and we also have to know that in everybody that has the ear to truth, everybody that has ears to hear and that have eyes to see, that's who I'm talking to. Anybody else, listen, I don't argue unless there's going to be a gain out of it for both sides. So when we cling to the principles that delude to slavery, that seems like the easy way out. When we honor and follow the principles of our foremothers and forefathers, that's going through the hellfire. That's you getting purified. That's you being tested. That's you being possibly thrown out your domicile. That's you being possibly kidnapped. That's your mom or your father or your husband or wife or your children possibly going through hardship because you're going through the purification. You're coming out of the sin. It's called repenting. It's called turning away from. So you're going against the delusions that kept you in that mental servitude. And it's not easy. Of course, it's not easy. You got to work for it. But just like, muscles, you got to work out. You got to go through, the burn. You see what I'm saying? But you sticking to the principles. You're studying the literature, the Circle 7. Drew Ali said, don't throw the Bible away. So you're studying the Bible. You're studying the Quran. You're studying the Waspi, the Vedas, whatever you have any type of, arm reach to. You know what I mean? You're studying that because the universe going to leave you some jewels in your path. So you're studying that and you're sticking to the path, and you'll see that, along the path, even though it appears to be something that is not, it's really not that bad. It's really just you going through a process, a cleansing process, a baptism. So don't fret. And then while you're going through the process, you will meet false prophets. You will meet, con artists, dirty Moors, whatever. You challenge them because they're there to help you. Your enemy is there to help you. Your foe that seeks to do you harm is there to help you. So you're supposed to challenge them. You're supposed to challenge their works. Challenge a tree is known by its fruits. So somebody say, yeah, this is a good apple tree right here. You know what I'm saying? This apple tree, I'm selling it. All right, what do you want to see? You want to see the apples, right? You don't want to see the tree. Tree cool. Look like a tree. But that could be an artificial tree. Let me see the apples. You know the fruit. You know by its fruit, I meant to say. You know by the fruition of which you're claiming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if a person is promoting a process or anything like that, even if it's a constitutional process, don't believe them. Challenge it. You're supposed to challenge it and see evidence of it. Now, if you're learning, then you're learning. We all have to be students before we become teachers, and teachers are great listeners. So if you are a teacher, you're going to listen attentively to the person that's claiming that this process is supposed to, get you your salvation. And I want to say one more thing before we move forward. I put out in the last interview we did, Dr. G, I put out the information about consul notification and access manual. And what I saw, I saw a lot of people studying, which is the purpose. I wanted people to study that because if you're claiming to be consul, you have to know the language that they're speaking because they're going to look for you to know that language not because you're reading from the consul notification manual. No, because you're reading from the treaty and you're speaking treaty language. So in the treaty, that language and consul notification requirements is already in there. It's in the treaty. You're not supposed to speak to them according to the consul notification. No, but I'm making this point to say this. I saw that there are Moors that are honorable, that are studying, that are coming together. I even got a lot of Moors to come together and study that manual. But I also see that there are Moors that are using that manual to cause harm, to cause injury to other Moors, because they're attaching that manual to a sovereignty package, or they're attaching it to a uniform commercial code saying, yeah, this is why you nationalize, and then you do the UCC1, then you study this manual. No, you can't serve two masters. That manual was talking about, it says about this manual. In the beginning of the manual, it says about this manual. Its sole purpose is for treaty obligation and treaty enforcement. You see what I'm saying? It's for them, the so-called law enforcement agencies and all the other agencies that are doing business at Morocco, North America, this is how you communicate when you meet anyone that is not a U.S. citizen, which is what they call a foreign national. Not because you're foreign to the land, you're foreign to the jurisdiction of the United States. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And people, also, I saw somebody, I ain't gonna put him out there. I saw somebody say, you say anybody say they're foreign national? Run. Listen, cross-reference the frequently asked questions in the consular notification and access manual. Go to the question. Let's do that. Let's do that real quick. 1 second. All right. Consular court cases. All right. Anybody interested in the manual, you can go to enforcetheconstitution.org, click on consular court cases, and scroll down. You'll see the foreign policy of the United States, because this manual is their foreign policy. And hold on. When you click on the manual, this version of it is highlighted. I did a lot of highlights to point certain things out to people. But if you want the actual copy printable from their website, the Department of State website, you can just put in the Google search, consular notification and access, 5th edition 2018, and you'll see that it's downloadable from the United States Department of State's website. So right here, instructions for federal, state, and local law enforcement and other officials regarding foreign nationals in the United States and the rights of consular officials to assist them. Then scroll down. This is what I was talking about this manual. Read this. And then you go down to the frequently asked questions. And this is just basic concept. That's all it is. And look, this is their process of arresting a non-U.S. citizen. So this is good to study, because you can hold them to this process. This is their policy. You're not enforcing this. You're holding them to it. You're enforcing treaty obligation, right? So right here. What page is this? This is page 12. So this wouldn't be the actual page 12. It'll be page 12 according to the page number on the bottom right. It says questions about foreign nationals. Who is a foreign national? Answer: for the purposes of consular notification and the instructions in this manual. So they're saying the purpose of them saying foreign national is a foreign national is any person who is not a U.S. citizen. That is for the purposes of this consular notifications manual and the instructions in this manual. When they refer to foreign nationals, they're referring to anyone who is not a U.S. citizen. Then in parentheses, it says, there are rare situations in which a person is neither a U.S. citizen nor a foreign national, i.e., is stateless. In such a case, consular notification requirements do not apply. The stateless persons are the persons that are not declaring themselves Moorish Americans, or the persons that are declaring themselves Moorish Americans, but are clinging to names and principles that delude to slavery. That is called stateless, because your state of mind is less than what? The principles of your foremothers and forefathers. Thus and therefore, you are a undesirable. You're classified as an undesirable, which is also called stateless, which is also called in law civilly dead, or dead in the eyes of the law, because the law is the principle of your foremothers and forefathers. Therefore, consular notification requirements don't apply to you. So you can't use consular notification requirements. And all it is look what it's called, consular notification. When you study the essentials of due process of law, the first essential is notice. So it's a requirement for the consul to be notified about any situation dealing with a foreign national that comes under the consulate jurisdiction or consular jurisdiction of Morocco. And that is basically any group of Moors that are competent exercising consular jurisdiction at a specific state, not in a specific state, at a specific state. That means you're outside of it. That means you're at it, right? And if you're exercising consular jurisdiction, that means you're enforcing treaty obligation. All right. So let's look at the case law, supporting case law that they mention consular notification. I mean, not consular notification. They mention foreign national. Right here. This case law, Colivrat versus Oregon. This was a Supreme Court case law decided in 1961. It reads, a state cannot refuse to give foreign nationals their treaty rights because of fear that valid international agreements may possibly not work completely to the satisfaction of state authorities. Under the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2, state policies as to the rights of aliens to inherit, I'll highlight that too, aliens, must give way to overriding federal treaties and conflicting arrangements. Now understand, when any representative of the United States speaks, they have to say foreign when they identify anyone that is not a part of their body, because you are foreign to their jurisdiction. You're an alien to their jurisdiction. That's why in the consular notification manual, let's go back to it. It says right here, where is it? Is a foreign national the same as an alien? Yes, for the purposes of this manual. Doesn't mean you're an actual alien, and it doesn't mean you're foreign. You're just foreign or alien to the jurisdiction of the United States. So when you go to foreign, and this is important too, I'm going to touch on it. When you go to foreign in the Black's Law Dictionary, don't assume what people tell you it means. Like foreign means the land. No, foreign does not mean the land. And foreign doesn't mean distance neither. Foreign doesn't mean distance. So us guessing is us deluding to the principle, clinging to the principles that delude to slavery as well. We ain't supposed to guess. That's not our culture. We either know or we don't know. So foreign, Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition, page 582. Foreign, belonging to another nation or country. Why aren't you foreign to the United States? Don't you belong to another nation? Then it says belonging or attached to another jurisdiction. Don't you belong to another jurisdiction? Made, done, or rendered in another state or jurisdiction. Subject to another jurisdiction. Operating or solvable in another territory. Extrinsic, outside, and extraordinary. So foreign has nothing to do with distance, and it has nothing to do with land. It has to do with jurisdiction. So if you're speaking the law language, because jurisdiction is law language. Juris means law, of law, and diction is speech or language. So if you're speaking the jurisdiction, the law language of the Constitution and the treaty, and then you're turning around and speaking uniform commercial code, that's a conflict of law because it goes against the principles of the Constitution and treaty. However, also, I want to make this point. Not however, also, if you're speaking the consular jurisdiction to enforce treaty obligation and they're speaking color of law, then you all are speaking two foreign jurisdictions. You're speaking two different law languages. That's why you got to know the language, because the culture is in the language. The culture, which you're speaking, your patterns, your principles are embodied in the language. That's what the demonstration of a competent heir entails. You are demonstrating the principles of your foremothers and forefathers by word, action, and deed. You don't want to guess anything. You don't want to assume anything. And you definitely don't want to jump in the middle of a ring with Mike Tyson talking about you want to throw jabs and you don't know how to block. You don't mean you don't know how to defend yourself, but you want to exercise a right to claim property, or you want to exercise a right to travel and you don't know how to defend it. Just like if you are with your girlfriend and somebody mug her, you don't know how to defend your girlfriend, but here comes some other guy coming to beat the dude up. Who you think you're going with? Because you don't deserve her. You couldn't defend her. That's the same as your rights. If you don't know how to defend your rights, you're considered an incompetent heir. Thus, they can practice what they call escheat, right? That's because you abandoned your right. Now your right comes under fee. Now you're subject to fee. Fee simple, court fees, attorney fees, which is another word for tax, which is another word for tithe, which is still clinging to the principle that delude to slavery. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I was listening a few weeks ago to a gentleman a guy in Canaan land, a modern European, but still fighting, if you will. And I think I've talked about this before. He was talking about the husband and wife whose children were taken. 4 children were taken because they found they were growing marijuana and they had a loaded gun in the house, a weapon. And so they took the children, they fought to get them back, and the husband kept fighting as a free man, and they kept tossing him out. And this former attorney who had left the bar said, "I can help you." So the wife listened to him, and he told her, "All these rates you're putting in, I want you to forget about all the stuff that you've been putting in. I want you to write down 2 sentences, and one sentence had something to do about the theft of their property," and they had it in brackets, see exhibits 1 through whatever. And on the back of the paper, they listed each one of the children was what were the exhibits as the property, and I guess the gun, the bullets, the marijuana, and all that stuff. And she pointed to and said who the CPS agent stole the property, and the judge, the so-called judge, stole the property, and whatever she was told to do. And the second sentence had a demand, but it didn't have the word demand for the return of their property. Long story short, the judge had to rule. The magistrate had to rule in her favor, because when they first put it in 3 days before court, they were called into Judge Chambers, and the judge said, "You don't want to call your children property," and convinced them to change it. And the guy who helped them, when they called him on the way back home and said, the judge was so nice, and he told us to not call our children property. The guy said, "Get your egg back there, put that paperwork back the way I said it." And when they got to court 3 days later, because they listed them as property, they had to release their children. They had to also they gave them back the gun and the bullets. The only thing they didn't have was the marijuana. And so the sheriff said, "I don't know what."
They smoked. They must have smoked that.
They smoked that in the chamber.
He said, I don't know what you had in that paperwork, but this is the first time I ever gave anybody return bullets and guns. And he said that the fact of the matter was just is the way you state certain things. They will go by what their so-called legal, because he said law is land, air, and water. Law deals with land, air, and water, common law, and so forth. But as long as they argue children, the fact is that based on that birth certificate that was created, that was their they had jurisdiction, I guess, over the children. And they said that there are about 40 professionals that put in reports, 10 reports each or so for each of the children, backing up why they should be taken from the family, from their mother and father permanently. They had to quickly withdraw that stuff because now they would be able to go back and I think file, like, I don't know what, was it like the rebuttal, something like you did against them for colluding to say that the children should have been taken from them from the get-go, especially when the judge had to have their property returned. So it's like and it was so minuscule, two sentences as opposed to something really lengthy and I'm a this or I'm a more. No, you stole my property. My property is A, B, C, D, E, and return it because you didn't have.
And then they stood on what they put on the paper.
Right. The wife studied, and because she had to back it up, and she pointed to them too and said, everything he taught her, she repeated it back, and she got it done. They laughed the husband out of court talking about free man. The same thing they do to a lot of our people saying, I'm a Moor.
Yeah, like that's supposed to be a magic word. It's not a magic word. It's a pedigree. Yeah. Now, what we have to get out of the habit of is thinking that the paperwork's supposed to do the work for you. And when you say, "Oh man, that paperwork didn't work," because I offer services, and I give the option of when we do a consultation. When I do a consultation for someone, I give them the option of going on the website and they can see different examples of the documents from successful cases, or if they want consular assistance, which is me and my team to basically do the paperwork for you and go over the process of the paperwork and basically, giving assistance. We'll do the paperwork and then they'll say, "Oh, the paperwork didn't work." And I'll give them the caveat in the beginning. The paperwork doesn't work for you. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't do the work. It's just the means of communication. It's ink on paper formed into words, right? So it's relaying a message. You have to do the work. The paperwork didn't work because you're supposed to work. You see what I'm saying? You got to put in the work. What does it say? Faith without works is dead. So you put the faith, the knowledge on paper, but you didn't work it. You didn't demonstrate it. So you just talking trash, pretty much. And that's how they're going to look at it. We have to remember that they're colonists. That's not a condemnation. That's a classification. They're descendants of colonists. We're coming to the realization that we are descendants of the mothers and fathers that civilized humanity. And we are heirs of this vast estate. So if we're on our land and they're colonists or descendants of colonists, then we have to understand that anything that is created by a colonist is in the nature of a colonist. So if it's a foreign corporation, such as this corporation, I ain't gonna put them out there. I ain't gonna say the name. I'm gonna just show it. I'm gonna show it because why not? Right here, the Truth Declassified. You can go to the website and go to the Truth Declassified. You'll see some documents on there. So, enforcetheconstitution.org is the website if you're just joining us. And right here is the truth about this corporation. Wait, not that one. Yeah, that's the United States. And this one is the IRS. This is a certificate of incorporation. The name of this corporation shall be Internal Revenue Tax and Audit Service, Inc. Why would we to get remedy or to seek salvation fill out a form of a private corporation that has nothing to do with the law? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that goes back to principle. You have to, once you put something in writing, you have to be what you put in writing. Otherwise, they're going to consider what you put in writing, and they're going to test you according to the energy you put out there. So if you put this energy out there, then they're going to respond accordingly. You see what I'm saying? If you're putting out, this is a lien and I'm suing you, and all of that, then you have to know the process of levy. You have to know the process of carrying out if you're doing a writ of possession, then you have to also know the moves of the pieces on the board. And that is the pieces being hold on, let me go back. The pieces being these public servants. You have to know their moves, how they're supposed to move according to law, according to the position that they're claiming to be in government, even though we know that's not government and they're imposters, a lot of them. Especially the elected ones like the sheriff, you have to know his moves. Don't just go visit the sheriff and it's a bunch of y'all. And, this is I'm speaking from a situation that was brought to my attention. This is by no means condemning anything. This is just me as your brother conveying my experience and my knowledge to you, so that you won't have to go through all of the things that I went through or some of the things that the other Moors that went through that tried to do a specific process. We can cut the time short so that you won't have to go through that. I went through it. Other Moors went through it. Taj went through it. So instead of coming together and just saying, all right, look, let's go up there and let's just demand that they do their job. No, you properly plan it. And you plan it according to law and action. And then you look up their duties, look up their responsibilities and hold them to that according to the law, according to the principles of your foremothers and forefathers. That's what you do. That's how you play this game, because it is a game. And the game is our estate. Don't look at them as necessarily your enemy. Look at them as your opponent. And if you don't know the rules of the game, then that's like playing Monopoly and you don't know the rules. So if I know the rules and you don't know the rules, I'm always win. I'm always tell you what the rules is. Like, the rule is this: when you pass this property, even though you purchased that property, you still got to pay me. That's your property, but you still got to pay me. And that's what they got getting us to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
we
learning.
Hopefully, I listen. I'm looking at the time, and time does fly when we're having fun. I want to say that if people want to get in touch with you, I'm going to put your website up again. I've been running it along with other stuff. But I also want to let you all know that this Friday, which is the 5th Friday, Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey will be doing what he would normally be doing on the first Friday. And there will be no first Friday presentation. Grand Sheik is taking a much well-deserved vacation. I'm also off that week too, for a whole week. So there will be no office hours with Dr. G unless I take my computer on my vacation, which I don't think I should. I think I should really have a vacation. So we'll plan to see you in 2 weeks as far as office hours, but Grand Sheik will be on this Friday, which is, I think, the 30th, whatever Friday is. He will be here because he will not be doing the first Friday of May, as he will be out of the area. So This please, please, please subscribe to my new channel. I know some of you have found it because 44 folks have subscribed. There's 474 people on this one, on this particular channel. On all 474, if you go over and find Dr. G is official, you'll notice me. Somebody else named Darius is coming up when you start to type it up, but look for me. Look for me. I do have a channel. 44 folks have found it. Give me a click from my Facebook page because there's a link there. But if you like, once I get 1,000, I can go live on it, and I'm planning to do some real special stuff.
You're gonna hit that like in no time.
Yeah.
Well, if folk go over there, if you can't find it, then look on my Facebook page or House of Real Awakening Minds Facebook page, and there's a link that'll take you right over there. And the first 17 folks, I hope not only did you subscribe, if you subscribed and you think you're in the 17, please email me your address because I can't send you anything if I don't know where to send it, ship it to. So I appreciate you.
I wanted to say something else if I had some time. I got some time.
I'll give you, how much time you need?
I probably like just good 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Okay,
might not even be that long. So we do Zoom classes on Sundays. So when you reach out at enforcetheconstitution.org, you can shoot me an email, and I'll do is well, I don't want to say too much. I'll just let you go to the email, and I am strongly, and I have to say this because I have to be responsible for what I put out. I strongly advise everyone that is exercising consular jurisdiction or looking to learn how to exercise consular jurisdiction or be a part of a group of Moors that are exercising consular jurisdiction, please study it yourself. Study it yourself and challenge yourself, challenge others that are studying it with you, challenge others that are looking to have you come to them to be a part. Challenge them, because all it's going to do is make you stronger, and it's going to make them stronger. But also, upon a challenge, it's called checks and balances. A person have to prove what they know. And if they don't prove it, then you already know what you're dealing with. I strongly urge everybody to study and show yourself approved. What we're doing over, at enforcetheconstitution.org is we're learning, weekly on Sundays. We're going over different topics, different agendas. We're putting together a trip program. It's called Traveling Rights Itinerary Program. That's going to be headed by the brother Adil right here in the background. And that was put together with him and Sister Amara, who's another officer of our consulate at our territory. And pretty much we're going over the principles of our foremothers and forefathers, the Constitution and treaty, nothing else. Anybody that is looking to be a part of those Zoom classes, you're welcome. You can come apart. However, we know that all are not equally yoked. We know all birds of a feather don't flock together. So we also accepted the fact that we know we all cannot come together. So if you're coming with principles that delude to slavery, we'll find out, because we're going to challenge you. That's what we're supposed to do. Because the truth exposes the falsehood. The light shines in the dark, right? So we won't allow any other principle to be promoted on the platform enforcetheconstitution.org, nor do we support any other foreign principles that delude to slavery, that delude to the oppression, the continued oppression of our people, because we don't have time for that. We do not have time for that. So that's what we're doing. We're learning consular jurisdiction. We have people in the territories, several states that we have right now of Moors that are at the state. We have them coming together in groups so that they can start a study group, and then we can have 2 trustees out of that study group that reach out to me, and I send out the information to them. That's what we're starting now. so that everybody can learn trust. We need to know what trust is. Trust law, trust. We keep throwing it around, but we're forgetting the fundamental principles of trust. You learned, or you knew trust when you came out of your mother's womb, right? So you knew that you were only to eat from your mother's hand and whoever else she says to. You know what I mean? If she allows it, that's called trust. When you call someone a friend, that's a trust. When you let this person borrow your car, that the car is the trust. So we got to understand that we have to rebuild trust among ourselves. And the way we do that is we challenge each other so that we can show each other approved before God, a workman who need not be ashamed, because you ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. Rightly dividing the word of truth. And you stay away from worthless babble, worthless conversations, arguments. Stay away from that. Don't waste your time. That's your energy. Your time, your attention, you don't get that back. That's energy. That's your energy, whatever you give your attention to. And we also need to learn how to give full faith. That full faith and credit clause, study the full faith and credit clause so that you can know that you need to give full faith and credit to the words that you speak and the words you put on paper. Stop giving full faith and credit to these other processes. Stop giving full faith and credit to these judgments and these orders that appear to be valid. Stop giving it full faith and credit. Challenge it and challenge the people around you and challenge yourself, and don't be scared to be challenged. Don't be scared to be wrong. That's what we're, teaching over at I'm not just the only one teaching either, because I'm not the great teacher. The great teacher is within all of us. Just like I always say, I'm not the leader. I'm the leader of myself. I'm a consul general because that's a chain of command, and I was voted into this position. But the position does not belong to me. It belongs to the people, and the people voted. So, and it's not a show or a display of arrogance or ego. No, you have to be humble. Because you're going to be humiliated if you don't know how to stand on what you know and prove what you know. You will be humiliated. You see what I'm saying? So it's a great sacrifice. It is a great sacrifice. Nevertheless, I'm a servant to the people, but I'm not serving all people because all people ain't in accordance with the principles. So I strongly encourage everybody to study. Don't just jump with groups. Challenge the group before you get a part of it, and so that you won't waste your time. Especially if a group is saying that they're exercising consular jurisdiction and they're selling you some type of a package or an idea. You want to challenge that because birthright is free. Consular jurisdiction is free. The service is what you're paying for. Somebody's exerting energy, you're paying for the service. No one can nationalize you. You can only nationalize yourself. No one can speak for you. You can only speak for yourself. Now, in an event that you're in a dispute or a conflict between a foreign body or a foreign person calling himself a U.S. citizen, then yes, the consul can be there to protect your interests in whatever commercial trade or activity that you're doing business at that foreign jurisdiction. That's the purpose of consul. You see what I'm saying? But I don't want to be too long-winded. But yes,
we can say that.
I do.
We'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save that for the Sunday calls. And I also have a Lien class coming up to show people not only how to draft a proper lien, but how to not only enforce it as well and how to defend against it. And I've done it already. I've done it previously. I didn't even get to defend against this lien that they just did, the fraudulent lien case. I did it back in 2013 when they first did that fraudulent lien case. I'm doing classes on that or workshops on that and workshops on debt dispute. So pretty much both workshops deal with formulating a writ. The workshop won't be cheap because I'm only looking for serious inquiries only because we don't have time to be playing and thinking that, since you the brother, you shouldn't be charging us because we brothers. You ain't going to McDonald's and telling them that, and they're foreign. So you're not going to anybody that's offering you a service that you're already paying the service for. You just want to come to your brother and sisters and say, yeah, so we need this help. and you know how to do it. So we're entitled to that. You're supposed to help us. No, because you're going through a karma. You want assistance on your karma. So if you're owed that debt that you have to pay for, I'm not getting in the way of it. And that's what happened with me going to prison for 5 years. I got in the way of somebody else's karma, which ultimately was, I guess it was my karma.
That was your lesson.
Yeah, that was my karma. So, but so thank you again, Dr. G. I greatly appreciate the time. And
you were quite welcome.
Your platform, I have to say, you're saving a lot of souls. You know, if it wasn't for you, I would not have known nothing. I prayed for this information, you know, meaning I put it out. I ain't say I pray to God. No, I put it in the universe. And I believe wholeheartedly that my prayer was going to be answered, because it says that, you know, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall open. You see what I'm saying? So I put it out there. It came back through your platform. And you are still keeping a pure, healthy platform. You know how to block all of the haters. You know how to treat it like, you know, it's like, you know, they're trying to throw rocks at the sun. You know what I'm saying? So you do a really good job with that.
Learning how to not take it personal. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I'm learning how to not take it personal.
I had to learn that too.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. I mean, there are times when I go off camera, my personal goes, but I want to be in a place to hold that space right there of peacefulness when I'm on this channel.
That's the narrow road. It says, what is it? Narrow is the path that leads to life, and only few will take it. That's that narrow road that you're talking about. The narrow road. You got to stay straight and narrow and don't be distracted, and which means be entertained, because entertained means to distract. So you can't be entertained by the things.
We are so entertained lately.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, we've been overly entertained. But I want to just say this about the new channel. Some can't find it, but it literally, there's no content on it.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to, I'm going to start putting, they won't let me do live streams. I'm saying this until I get one. It's like, you got to get 1,000 viewers before you can really be activated, subscribers. And most people would be hard pressed to get 1,000 subscribers. I know we have over 14, almost 15,000 subscribers on this channel, which I created. This channel is not going anywhere. The House of Reawakening Minds is not going anywhere. Dr. G is official, is kind of my place to get some stuff off, you know, do some other things. And I want to try to keep this channel a little, I may even move. I probably will move. I may move office hours over there. I may not, because I may have to keep it over here where it's safe.
Right.
I have to keep it where it's safe. Dr. G is an addition. And it's an addition.
What I was thinking is, because these are their platforms. We have given full. This is how important and powerful our attention is. Because we give our attention so much to these platforms, now they're able our commerce on these platforms, not just commerce as far as like what you're trying to buy or sell, but also the communication. Communication is commerce, you know, the trading of ideas. So they're regulating it because it belongs to them. But when I have a YouTube channel as well, it's called Enforce the Constitution. However, I don't necessarily promote it that much, and I don't really do YouTube videos because I know what I'm gonna say. They're gonna cut it off because I can prove what I'm saying, and I got records to prove what I'm saying, right? So what I did was started a website because Drew Ali said the quote, the liberty of our press is the most powerful, what is it?
Weapon in the hands of our movement.
Yes, the most powerful weapons in the hands of our movement. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but the press. And when you look up press is basically the ink that's pressed on the paper. So if we can have our own platform, like our own website, and then we can post it, And then we can start doing live stream from our website, which is what I plan on doing with enforcetheconstitution.org. And then we can utilize their websites like YouTube, Google, not Google, YouTube, what is the other one? Facebook, Instagram, and all of that to redirect our attention, our energy, our power, our full faith and credit from their platform to our platform. Now
Absolutely.
we're doing commerce. And that's why I also promote for Moors to start their own website so that they can post their paper trails and things of that nature, their records on their website so that it can be made public so that the public can scrutinize it. Because that's the whole point. We want to win the attention of the public, the attention of the people.
Yeah, and I have Zoom also. So Grand Sheik and I are looking to do some a couple. He's going to do a workshop or through the Zoom channel, but we just haven't gotten it together yet. But again, it's just moving it, just doing something a little separate so it doesn't get jumbled up with people looking for stuff on nationality, birthright, and all that stuff. I can be for the I'm an intuitive. You know what I mean? I'm an energy. I do energy work, Reiki, energy, Tesla type energy stuff, and I do, pendulum readings, and I do a lot of stuff that folks don't know I do. That's going over there on the new channel, and it'll be a lot of. I'm very much into metaphysical and galactic cosmic stuff. It's going to be over there, and I know a lot of us are too. So that's what
I'm gonna be over there with you.
Dr. T is official. Is going to be that other stuff. So
Yeah,
I can unmuddy it from over here. That's basically what it is. That's why I wanted. I was moved to do something different for that specific audience.
And that's very much needed.
Out the box, we're galactic cosmic beings anyway. So it's like having a human experience. So over there, we can go there.
We have to know that. We have to learn that.
Absolutely.
Because ultimately, if we continue, we're in this electrified age, and if we continue to give full faith and credit, which is basically paying attention, that's why you got to pay it. If we keep paying attention to the entertainment, to the distractions, to the things that delude to slavery, then we're going to miss that intergalactic message that the universe, that the cosmos is sending to us through our antennas. It's going to be missed because we don't even know our culture.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But I'm over there with you.
It's our stuff, and so that's why I'm. As soon as I can get that, as soon as I get to see 1,000 of it going live, you know what I mean. But I'm gonna. I need to. And I'm gonna figure out how to do some stuff with my brand new camera. I have a actual what do you call that stuff? What is that called? Like Canon.
Canon.
A Canon.
Yeah.
I got a free $2,000 Canon. I'll tell you, they tried to steal from me in my account. Sam's S Club. I'm not gonna say who they were. They just out of the blue charged my account. It was $2,000 for my checking account for something, and I was like, "What? I didn't order anything from these people." And 2 days after I filed the fraud papers, a brand new camera showed up at my house that I never ordered. I ordered a heating pad a year, like 8 or 9 months prior, and they kept my credit card information and then charged me for a camera and then sent it to me, a Canon Rebel EO, whatever. It was a couple. It was 19 something. So the bank put in a bet. I said, listen, I just filed fraud against you guys. I didn't order this. And they said, well, you were on our site 7 months ago, last year or something. I said, but I didn't order a camera. And why did it take 7 months for it to come if I did? So they said, well, you have to speak to someone higher up. I said, give me a number. What is it? A case number. Because I need to call the bank so they won't know that I pulled a fast one, because I didn't. Just filed a fraud report. 3 months they investigated. And on the 90 days later, the bank said, they gave me my funds back in my account. And if they found out that it was fraudulent, they'd have taken it back. 90 days later, October or something, they said, case closed. You keep your funds. And S Club gave me a brand new can.
Yeah, but what did you do? You demonstrated principle.
Absolutely.
That was called due process of law. What you did.
Really?
Only thing you didn't quote was the Constitution or treaty. But the Constitution and treaty is principle. That's all it is principles. Those articles and sections and clauses, those are principles. All you did was demonstrate the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and you got your justice.
And a camera.
That was the camera. That was the camera.
And I got a brand new camera.
Redress.
I said I wanted one somewhere in the past. So I guess I drew it to myself.
That's exact. And look at what it had to take. It had to take for you to sacrifice 2,000 energy notes. Right. You see what I'm saying? It appeared that you was in the loss when actuality you was being set up for a gain. And that's what chapter 1 talking about.
And it was a lesson.
It was the lesson. It was the gain. And then you got rewarded after it. Shoot, I got rewarded after I went through my lesson. That wasn't a loss. I had to look at it like it was not me going to do 5 years of imprisonment. I was doing 5 years of law school. And I got my degree. I got actually, according to what Brother Majesty Kadar Bey, shout out to Majesty Kadar Bey at Georgia. He's the consulate out there. He said that I put in, 18,000 hours. Right. You should, how many hours you have to put in to get like a doctorate or something like that?
I went to school for 12 years. 12 years. I got my doctorate in 12 years.
Damn.
So that amount of time and hours in study.
You can take the amount of hours that it will require for the 12 years. I was studying. I mean, only people that can confirm the time that I was studying is the people that was in prison with me. I'm talking about my old cell buddies. I'm talking about before I even went to prison. You know, I was studying before I went to prison. I put in a lot of hours, but prison, I was just like, no, I'm not going to accept this environment. I'm going to create my environment with my imagination. And then one day I woke up and I was like, wait a minute, this is law school. The decimal crypt is law school. I'm in law school. So my graduation date is the date that I walked through the door. That's my graduation date. That's when I graduated because I was actually in there not 4 or 5 years. They didn't say we're giving you 5 years. No, they said 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they said 20. I got out in 5 years because I was studying law and then I demonstrated the reservation of my rights. So when you write all rights reserved on an agreement, you're saying that you're reserving your rights right now so that you can come back and enforce them at a later date. But you got to know how to enforce them. So that's called living within a contract or living within your consent. So you're consenting and you express it on your signature how you're consenting under threat, duress, and coercion. Or you can put under protest. And if you don't put into that, you definitely put, no matter what you put all rights reserved. So you're consenting with all of your rights reserved so that if your rights are violated in any way per this contract or this agreement or this consent form, then you coming back to enforce your rights. And that's what I did.
So that's why people really should not get into these, what do you call it? DocuSign stuff.
Yes.
Because you don't get to put anything but a signature that they write and say, you accept this. You don't get to put anything on there besides that.
Right, exactly. And even if you're in a situation where they tell you that you can't put any, because I was in this situation, that you can't put anything but your name, and it better be the name that you were given when you were born. All right, we'll go ahead and put it, because what does all rights reserved ultimately mean? Do you have to express it on paper in order to enforce your rights? No. Just sign, because you're under threat, duress, coercion. This criminal told you if you don't put this way, then they're going to do some type of a harm against you. So you write it the way they wanted you to write it. But then when you get out, make sure you do an affidavit. First, know what an affidavit is, know what a writ is, and then do the affidavit and then express in a cause of action or a statement of facts exactly what happened on this date, at this time, in this territory, or this state, whatever, at this facility. This person told me to sign this document according to this, and I did it under threat, duress, and coercion. You see what I'm saying? That caused me to be injured this way, which is a violation of this law, which is a principle. And you're ordering them for them to give you this type of remedy or this type of redress. You see what I'm saying? It's really simple, but because of the deception and the people on our side that are continuing the deception, that's why it's slowing down the process. But I don't think this process is being slowed down anymore. Ever since I've been home, I've seen a whole lot of Moors because of your platform, a whole lot of new Moors. And I'm a part of the new Moors that's coming into the movement with their eyes wide open. And it's upsetting a whole lot of older Moors, you know what I mean, that was looking to keep people distracted. Now, for elders like yourself, Brother Taj Tariq Bey, and everyone else who is doing good for the movement, we're looking to make you all proud because we that generation, we that generation that got the energy, we got the time, we got the patience, and we're going to put in the work. And the people that I'm speaking to, you know exactly who you are. If you've just now joined this call or this Zoom, this platform, and this is your first time seeing it, thank you for coming on. And if your heart is pure and you're looking to go through the challenge, through the fire, we're waiting on you because the time is here. They're genociding our people right in front of us. And that's because our people don't know that they have a choice. We do have a choice. We always had the choice. And the choice is what we say it is. It's been us. The salvation's been in our hands this whole time. But that's true. What I'm promoting.
I'm gonna do a script writing class, only because people don't understand the fact that you are the script writer. So we need to do revisions to the script because there have been adjustments based on things that you're here at such a time that now you need to know. Wait a minute, you mean I don't have to say no? You don't, but you have to understand that you're the one that wrote the original script. And so you're the one that can do the alterations. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on being able to work with people on altering the script of their life, rewriting, revising it in such a way that this time you come out as the victor.
Yes.
We push the victim aside. We do flip the script. No more victim. You're going to be victor.
We've been complaining about the problem.
Right. But to the victor go the spoils. And because we've been put in a place of victimhood, the spoils have gone the other way. They wrote that to the victor goes the spoils. All right, then then you need to rewrite your script and put yourself in the victor character. That's who you need to be, and you can be. But folks we have to shift the paradigms. And so that's, like I said, over at Dr. G is official. I can be Dr. G. I can tell people, folks, the stuff that I know, about, especially the ancient stuff, the stuff that came into me when I woke up. That stuff is deep. I always just tell people I woke up. It's not just that I woke up, but what came in when I woke up. What did my higher self tell me? The amazing things that my higher self told me that I've been sitting on and only sharing with a few. And so I think it's time to give it because folks are ready now.
Yes. We're all having that awakening. That's what I'm a private person. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm private. I don't like, doing public things, but that's what pushed me to do the website. That's what pushed me to come on this platform, because you might not know it. And I tell people this, I'm actually shy. I'm a shy person.
Me too.
I'm shy. People think I'm lying. No, I'm really shy on the inside, but I know that the fire, that they call it the holy zeal, the fire, those fireballs in you, what they call chi or kundalini. Those energies, it burns. And I know it's burning a lot of people, especially the youth. It's burning them.
Serpentine fire that the earth, wind, and fire. Look, we almost a half an hour left. Serpentine fire You know, the serpentine fire is in the youth. Really, 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 the serpentine fire is there. And the more when you learn about, you know, we pretty much embrace the serpent, but the serpent has been villainized and vilified, is what I would
Yeah.
say. That's knowledge. The serpent is a symbol of knowledge, wisdom,
Yep.
knowledge. And though we, you know, the eagle that we've been, you know, we see it. We got the two-headed eagle. The U.S. uses that, not we. They use it in a lot of countries. They use it. That symbol is one of war, control, oversight, because of how high the eagle flies.
Yeah.
And so we embrace the eagle and vilify the serpent, but the serpent and the serpentine fire that's being that's burning up in the young people, you know, like yourself, is what is going to move us into this Aquarian, more into this Aquarian light and energy of no longer do I believe, I know. I know.
And look, and then depending on the energies of light that you got in you, meaning your natal chart, you're going to know different than how you knew back in the day when you didn't know, because you're going to know. Like I always like measure whenever I'm talking to a woman. I measure it to my mom. Well, my mom knows what she's talking about. She's Scorpio. When she knows what she's talking about, and this is every woman that I've came across. When you all know what you're talking about, y'all power is y'all. The force that y'all bring is so strong that we men can't even handle it. That's why we lie, because we're sons. You see what I'm saying? But I understand the fallen humanity, you know, which is really the woman. And I understand you all's position. I don't fully understand it. I'm still learning it as I go. But the more I'm studying the law, the more I'm understanding the nature of man with the womb, and why when she wakes up, she's going to be the wrath of Allah. Because what they say, starting with the home, if the wife ain't happy, the home ain't happy.
She is Allah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. As I'm
emasculated the divine feminine, or completely, you know, cast the divine feminine down and said, you know, but she is Allah.
Yes, and people are scared to admit that.
I know.
Really.
They're so used to say they're so patriarchal. You know, that patriarchal spirit has been.
That's the principles that delude to slavery. Would you want? You had something to say?
No, well,
that's the principles that delude to slavery. You know, not honoring your mother and your father, and father is even a feminine word as well. Yeah, it comes from Pata. Yeah, so the pattern is the great matriarch of the universe. It even says that the seed is as perfect as the mother. So honor to the mothers, honor to the father, which is really the son.
Isn't that the Etamon?
Yes, that's the mother. It means the yes.
Yes.
So man, Dr. P, I love you. Straight up. I love the energy you bring. It's just like okay, yes, I am going the right direction. I have to get reminded that too, you know, because sometimes you know, your family members, and I know everybody's going through it. Family members, loved ones look at you like you're crazy because you sound different, you're talking different. But to hear, you know, people such as you, Brother Taj, and everyone else that have been on the planet longer than I have, it's just, yeah, it's affirming, you know, the direction. We need that, you know what I'm saying? Because as your generation gives it to mine, my generation can pass it on, you know what I'm saying? We can cut that time in half so that the lower generations, the heirs, won't have to go through what I went through, what you went through, what your elders went through. You see what I'm saying? And it's progress. And I think it's going pretty fast. And you know, that Aquarian light is punishing the falsehood. I mean, everything is built on falsehood. Everybody is doing these processes, you know, that cling to slavery. I mean, it's going to trash, and everything, you know. I was really surprised that they didn't kidnap me. I'm still gone off that they didn't kidnap me on this last case. I'm glad of it. I think they probably know the measure that I was willing to go before I got thrown back in there. But
and even if you did, you would have gave them all kinds.
Yeah, they would have got
them all kind of justice.
I mean, yeah, and then I think that there are people on the outside, and when I say outside, I'm talking about nationhood again, like the prophet said, our brothers from the east will come to assist us. I think they have been assisting us in the background. They just have to see the principles being demonstrated first. You know, on the website, enforcetheconstitution.org, those are all facts. They can't be disputed. Those are all facts of events that actually happened. And those events came from enforcing the Constitution. So no one can say, as far as I'm concerned, and whoever's documents are on that website and whoever's studying it, no one can say enforcing the Constitution doesn't work. No one can say that we're not parties to the Constitution because it's on the website.
I had my T-shirt on and I was out and about one day, and this, was modern European son looked at me and said, "I like that shirt."
Yeah, so, enforcetheconstitution.org.
Enforcetheconstitution.org. I'm kind of looking for here. So here we go. In case anybody wants to get to support, they still need to email you about that, right? The T-shirt.
Yes. You can email me about the shirt, enforcetheconstitution.org. We also have face masks.
Okay.
Enforcetheconstitution.org. Also, for everybody that's looking to get the tags, like travel tags, the Morris travel tags, you can reach out. You'll see them on the website under traffic cases. You click on traffic case, you'll see the picture of the tags there. CMOS. I don't want to even say where the CMOS is coming from because I heard that they starting to go to that territory and scrape up the CMOS. So I don't want to put out where it's coming from, but we actually got CMOS, the real CMOS that are identified by Dr. Sebi as far as like the description and the texture of the CMOS. And it's from, just put it like this, it's from a very, very reliable source at a faraway land that I'm not going to disclose. And, and also, if you want services, you want consultation, if it's in our power to do it, to assist, we can assist. We do consultations, and we also do consulate services. If you have an issue like a traffic issue, a debt dispute, as far as habeas corpus, I'll put this out there. As far as habeas corpus, you have to have Moors that are competent at your territory, that know about the process of habeas corpus, but most importantly, that knows that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is secured under Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2 of the Constitution for the United States of North America. That privilege is only given to a specific class of people. It's not saying privilege to petition for writ of habeas corpus. It says privilege of writ of habeas corpus. That means you issue the writ, not, petition the federal court, because they ain't the federal court, or the state court, because they ain't a court at all. Look up the definition of court in the Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Look up court, go to international law under court. You'll see what court means under international law. It has nothing to do with a building. Nothing to do with a building. That's practice. But I encourage everybody to come together, study, continue to support House of Reawakening Minds, because she is supporting us. I mean, I don't know how to express my gratitude, Dr. G. You are like another mother to me, and Brother Adil concurred.
Cannot be said any way. You have been our constant
I'm serious.
mother.
I'm a Taurus, so I ain't trying to get all emotional. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of sons and daughters, and they call me all the time. It makes me feel. It makes me know that I'm really doing what I was called to do, even though it happened so very late in life, but it's never too late. And I think this has energized me and given me a renewed, I guess, zest for my life. In the last 60, the first 60 kind of went, but now I'm on the last 60.
Yeah, and then look, these are called the golden years, and I can tell, everybody can tell that you love what you do.
Yes.
You love what you do. So you what I learned is when you go to the Job, this Brother Taj taught it. When you go to the Job, you're actually cursing your God, or you've turned away from your culture. So you hate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then half of Friday, and then you got the second half of Friday to Saturday, which you were supposed to honor the Sabbath, right? But you didn't, which is your culture, but you didn't. You venting at a club, and then go to Sunday, repent for everything you did on Saturday, and get prepared to go into the hateful state because of the week, because you're doing things that you don't want to do. You truly don't want to do, and it goes against your constitution, your makeup, your body. So that's called adultery. I didn't even know that.
Well, retirement for me, it's been 4 years, going into almost 4.5 years. I've been retired, and I've never been so busy in my life. But you're right; there makes a difference when you're doing what you love. I have a book. I still probably have it back there. I've had it about 20 years, and it was called "Do What You Love." And it said, "Money, do what you love, and the money will follow." But what it's saying is, when you're doing, when you're living on purpose and in purpose. Because a lot of times we're not on purpose or in our purpose. We're just doing, like you said, a job to get by. But when you live on purpose and in purpose, everything that you need is supplied for you. Things happen, just like, cameras come in the mail, and, folks send you T-shirts. I'm just saying, things happen.
I can testify to that. I mean, this whole walk that I've been on since I've been on this movement, I've been supplied with things. I've been supplied with people. I've been supplied, even in my downfalls, where I made mistakes or where I made errors, I still was supplied with help. It's really a divine teaching. You know what I'm saying? It's really divine. It's divine. One more thing, because you made me think of something. Please, everybody, look up the definition of finance. Drew Ali said, "I need finance and I need it badly." Drew Ali was wealthy. Drew Ali was not broke. When he said he needs finance, really look up the definition of finance so that you can see what it means. It doesn't mean funds.
Right.
It does not mean funds. Look it up. And then when you look it up, hold 1 second, look up, after you look up finance, look up market. And then you'll understand why on the website, enforcetheconstitution.org, you'll see that we're creating a market for finance, because that non-UCC filing was done on a financial statement, right? The United States is looking to be financed by other countries to attach their economy to the country's economy who has gold or who has silver, but they gave up that fiat so that this system can collapse. What we have to do is we have to stop believing, we have to start knowing, but most importantly, we have to start giving our full faith and credit to what is real, not what is fake, to money, gold and silver coins. And if you don't have gold or silver, what did Drew Ali say belong to the people alone? Commerce. So you need to look up finance, commerce, market. Look up economy so that you can see what Drew Ali was truly saying when he said, "I need finance and I need it badly," because we do need finance. But we have to first demonstrate the principles of our foremothers and forefathers before the rest of the world so that they can finance us. Islam, you wanted to?
No, just to kind of add to the concept of what that statement to be proclaimed in every meeting, why the prophet even addressed the issue. If you go into the beginning structure of that, and then where he said, "I need finance,"
when you do the etymology of what finance means, it brings clarity as to why he even stated that, or he even referenced that in that plea. So that means you have to study.
So we can stop chasing this fiat. Stop giving full faith and credit to the fiat. It's collapsed. It's dead. Get your silver. Quicksilver.
That's right. That's right. Either get it from Brother Lamont on his page. There's a link there where you can get your Quicksilver. When you get Quicksilver from him, you help Dr. G too.
Yes, so you're supporting a house of reawakening minds, Islam. And there's the silver. You say you got money, you saying you got this.
Look, I always got my silver. I always got a piece.
Yes. And then look, check this out. Everybody that said that, oh man, they did a foreclosure sale. Did they buy the property with this? Was the property sold with this? If not, there was no foreclosure sale. They're tricking you. Mm-hmm. Study the Constitution, study the treaty, study the principles. These are your principles. This is money. This is how you make purchase. Otherwise, you ain't purchasing anything with Bitcoin, Federal Reserve note, PayPal, Cash App. No, I'm not just throwing it away. Don't throw it away. I'm saying to use it for what it's supposed to be used for. But when it comes, because it's a bookkeeping. When it comes to assets like land, you ain't buying land, especially if the land already belonged to you. You ain't using Federal Reserve notes or Bitcoin to buy land or credit to buy land. You ain't purchasing it. That's why ain't no title was traded to you. Wasn't no title conveyed to you because you ain't buying nothing. So let's get back to the principle. This is principle. Moon economy, the economy of the moon. This is government, right? This is what governs our trade. Don't keep falling for the deception of trade, the deception of commerce that they're promoting. They took over our trade routes, yes, but they also took over our commerce. They're telling us how we are to do business or commerce on this land. When in actuality, the treaty tells you how to do commerce on this land. The Constitution ensures that commerce is supposed to go this direction, according to the treaty, which is the supreme law of the land. That's what governs the commerce on this land. Let's stop pretending. Let's start being. Let's stop acting. Let's start being who we are. Study who you are. Drew Ali said, more is be yourselves, more is study yourselves. He also said, one day you're going to have to prove you're Jew or Moorish American. That day has came. Now you got to prove it. So you're Moorish American by principle. Yes, by national descent, but also by principle.
Absolutely. But listen, we're going to go for real now because I got to go travel. Look, I got to lay my head down and travel somewhere, I'm sure. But thank you again. Thank you both for being on here. And I'm glad we were able to get the show in. So now you don't have to worry about that. So we can go and things can happen. I declare and decree it will happen.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
Thank you so much for tuning in until Friday when we come back with House of Reawakening Minds with our Grand Sheik, our National Grand Sheik, Tariq Bey. This is Dr. G. And the rest of the brother. Look, we all signing out. We gonna rock out, all right?
Yes. Let's rock out.
Deeper and deeper.
Oh, we're gonna rock out with my daughter. Wrong. We're gonna rock out.
Really? Shit.
Yeah, that's me.
Really?
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 Yeah, that's me.